Let's go to Paul in Welcome to Miami. What's up, Paul?
Hey, how you doing, Dr. John?
I'm good, man. What's up?
Oh, not much. Living a Jimmy Buffett day and relaxing at home.
Cheeseburger in paradise, baby.
That's right.
So what's up?
Well, thank you for taking my call.
You got it.
I'm calling because my wife is a self-diagnosed hypochondriac.
Oh, Paul, I love you, and I'm sure your wife is awesome. But I think we can all agree that self-diagnosed hypochondriacs, whoa.
And she also states she loves going to the doctor.
Oh, gosh. Hey, here's what I'm saying, oh, gosh, not because she's dumb or a moron or somehow less than. I'm saying, oh, gosh, because I know how hard this is in your home. And I know how miserable it is for her and how miserable it is for you. Y'all got little ones too?
Nope, no little ones, not yet.
Okay.
But
oh boy,
plans for the future.
Okay. So she's got health anxieties. Fair?
Yes. Yeah, health anxieties. She does have general anxieties as well. She gave me a list of active worries that she has.
Okay.
And then you always say to lead with the big things, so I could do both of those if you like.
Go for it.
So, to caveat, she does say this started at a young age, this self-diagnosed hypochondriac.
Sure.
But her active worries are all forms of cancer, heart failure, blood clots, brain aneurysms, COVID, any lung or heart issues from COVID, and pneumonia, to name a few.
Cool.
And the big things are 3 years ago, her dad died of brain cancer.
Okay.
This past year, her mom was diagnosed with breast cancer.
Okay.
In the years past, her grandfather had throat cancer.
Okay.
And her grandmother has COPD.
Okay. So, this is the demon of anxiety. It's kind of right. Right. So I don't want to parse apart health anxiety versus generalized anxiety. I think that can be an academic waste of most of our time. Okay. Your wife struggles from anxiety. I've been there. It's debilitating. It's hard. It messes up stuff. One of the things we've seen in the medical community over the last 15 or 20 years is an increase of people with pain disorders and who are struggling from, like, I think my heart rate is racing. I need to go to the doctor. Because often that's the only place where somebody stops what they're doing and puts their phone down and looks at them in the eye for 15 minutes or gently touches their skin, takes their blood pressure, right? It's much more about human interaction, or it's as much about human interaction as it is about the diagnostic. Okay.
Sure.
It's a body screaming for connectivity. So she grew up as an anxious kid. Where did that come from? Mom, dad, who?
Well, from what she's told me, she does have, in my own opinion, some significant trauma through childhood. She was sexually abused by an older sibling. I know you've talked about screaming a lot for children, and she was in a household with a lot of screaming.
Okay.
And she's never been very close with her mom.
Okay. So she's got a lot in that sweet little body of hers. Okay. And the manifestation is some people dig holes in the ground and create underground bunkers. And some people hoard things and protect themselves with stuff. And some people respond to anxiety by drawing the shades in and getting under the covers and Netflixing themselves to death. I tried to solve my anxiety with information. And so it's really cool to tell people I've got 2 PhDs. It's also a trauma response. Okay. It was me trying to prove that I was smart, and it was me trying to get more data and more data and more data and more data.
Sure.
She happens to try to solve her anxiety from being over the top in tune with her physiological functions to the point that she's lost perspective. And she seeks the comfort of somebody she views as wise and someone who finds value in her. which is a medical professional or a nurse or a doctor, right?
Sure.
Okay. So she's going to have to decide. This is a person who, if I say, I want you to write your fears down and then demand evidence from them, when you're in the throes of deep anxiety, she's got all the evidence she needs. Every one of her family members has died of cancer or has cancer.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
So she's got all the data she needs.
Yeah, well, we've talked about that because we listen to you every day. And so we've talked about that as a team together. And she says, well, I can find the evidence.
That's right. So yeah. I'm going to go back to something my buddy Todd told me. And I've mentioned on the show, and I'll mention it again because it was such a shapeshifter for me. It might not be helpful for anybody else. But one of my deep worries was the implosion of the financial system. I didn't understand it. I still don't understand it. But I didn't especially understand it then. And it didn't make sense to me. And things that didn't make sense to me were a threat to me. And then I start trying to solve things that didn't make sense to me. And that's makes even less sense because I don't even know how it works. I'm trying to solve something I don't know how it works. But I was sitting down with him, grilling him one day. And here's the other thing. I'm not dumb. And here's the other thing. We were in the middle of it was 2009, 2010, during the middle of the madness. So I had all the evidence I need. This whole thing's going down. This whole thing's a sham. This whole thing's on a house of cards. Mm-hmm. And we were going through this thing and this thing. I was like, what about this? And what if this happens? And what if this happens? And then finally he said, oh, dude, I don't have a meteorite plan. And I was like, what do you mean? And he said, well, I do all the things I know to do right now, which I carry no household consumer debt. He paid his house off. I have this, and I've got an emergency fund, and I don't have any debt on my cars, and I put money in retirement here, and I've got a couple of rent houses over here. And then if the monetary system goes away, I'll deal with that when it happens. And for some reason, it was a light bulb moment for me because I wasn't taking care of all the other things that I actually could control. I was just trying to catch a spaceship, which I couldn't do. And so I channeled my energy over time. I had to learn how to do this into, all right, well, I guess I'll go see a counselor. And I guess I will start hanging out with my friends again because I need relationships. And I guess I'll get my debts paid off because I know that you can't be non-anxious if you owe people money because your brain's screaming at you, you're not safe, you're not safe, you're not safe. So I started taking care of the little things, and it was amazing how the big stuff kind of evaporated. And here's what I mean in my house. I got a family history of cancers. I got a family history of heart stuff. Some of it I didn't even know about until recently. And so I get my blood taken every year by a great doctor, Dr. Vickery. And we go through it, and it's expensive. We go through the whole thing, and he does an incredible job. My wife does too. And I take really good care of myself best I can unless I'm having a gummy candy day. And so I'm doing all the things that I know to do. And then if I get throat cancer, I get throat cancer. You know what I mean? I don't have a meteorite plan for that. After, I'm going to do the things that I'm going to be intentional about longevity. So here's what I'm telling you. She's going to have to choose to be less miserable in the present, not rehearsing tragedy for a thing that may happen someday.
Sure.
Right?
And I think it comes down, I think some of it might be a control thing as well.
No, don't. Hey, I wouldn't go there. I wouldn't go there. Yeah. It is, but you're talking about a little girl who was sexually abused, and that little girl's still in there. Right. So yes, she is trying to seek control of something because the things that were supposed to love her the most, her brother, her mom and dad, they didn't show up. Right. So yeah, she's trying to control everything.
I think my question would come to how to be a good husband.
There we go.
When she brings up a concern, because I think I've gone through different, ways of trying to support her best, and now I'm just wondering is if she comes with a concern, a health concern, a very specific health concern, what's the best way I could support? Because right now, what it is if she brings a very specific health concern, I'll say, okay, well, why don't we go to a specific doctor and get that checked out? But I'm not sure if that is a long-term solution.
No, because that becomes self-reinforcing, right. Meaning she gets anxious, y'all both go do a thing that you know is really not a good use of medical resources, of the doctor's time, and of y'all's time and money. but you're going to go do it because it's going to make her feel better right this moment. And what it does is it reinforces the anxiety that the way to feel better is to go do this thing. And then so your body, see what I'm saying? It starts a loop that your body's going to start seeking out these things every time.
Sure.
And so when I say the only way to heal is through it, it's to, I just woke up and I think I'm having fill in the blank.
Sure.
Right? And since we've already got a blood test, we're going to get a baseline test. Since we've already got a cancer screening, since we've already done an echocardiogram. So, and I am suggesting go get a good baseline, like a great blood test, get a good baseline.
Sure.
So that when I think this thing, you can roll back to, we just like 60 days ago, we got this great baseline here.
Yeah. And we do annual physicals.
Great.
And it came up to where maybe a month ago, she said, well, that's been 6 or 8 months ago, things can change. And so it's kind of like she would like to go again.
That's right. And so those are the moments we are going to breathe in. We're going to head right into the storm, meaning we're going to feel that anxiousness. We're going to know that our bodies are okay. We're going to hold loosely a meteorite that might be coming. You're right. We could have had 10 years of great blood tests, and then you got 7, 8 months, and then bam, stage 4 throat cancer. Right? I'm not a cancer doctor.
Sure.
But that's, you see, you recognize, she recognizes how unlikely that is, right?
Yeah, she does, and I've always said, at any point, if you want me to help you find a therapist, I'm happy to. But I know I can't push her into it. I know that from listening to you, it has to be a decision she has to come to on her own.
Right. And so what we need to do is when she's not anxious, we need to come up with a game plan that y'all are both going to shake hands and agree on. Because just running to specialist for the rest of her life is going to become cost prohibitive, and it really is taking resources from somebody else who needs to be there.
Sure.
And we don't want to blow over if she actually is having an incident. She does have an increased risk for cancer because she's got it in all of her family members.
Right.
She does possibly have an increased risk for fill in the blank. So sit down with somebody and map that out. And I definitely think seeing a counselor is important. I think if she won't go, then you go on your own. And if she asks you, why are you going? Tell her, I want to learn some better tools on how to relationally connect with somebody who's struggling so deeply from anxiety.
Okay.
What you're going to be tempted to do is to create a universe on your own. A world that's not crazy. A world that's a little more stable. And what she's going to do is feel you by degrees, 1 degree, 2 degree, 3 degrees. She's going to feel you pulling away, and that's going to spark up the anxiety even more.
Sure.
Okay. So when you say, what's the greatest thing you can do? I can tell you, don't try to solve her as though she's like an engine issue. Lean in relationally, and you'll have to have already planned out what that looks like. When she comes to you and says, I think I'm having a stroke, already have planned out, all right, let's hold hands, both of them. I'll stop what I'm doing. I'm closing all the screens. I'm turning the game off, even though it's the 4th quarter. There's only 2 minutes left. I'm going to lean into this relationship. Sure. And we're going to breathe together. I'm going to connect with you together. And then once our breathing's under control, then we're going to walk through, okay, what are the 3 things? Or we're going to go for a walk right now. And while we're walking, we're going to take 5 minutes of just doing box breathing while we're walking. And then after minute 5, we'll talk through symptoms. Tell me why you think, let's be curious. Tell me why you think you're having a stroke.
Yeah.
Right? And we're just going to practice that. But listen, you're right on. She's got to decide, I want to be less anxious. I want to heal from my anxiety, my health anxiety. And, don't diagnose yourself as hypochondriac, please. That's so hard. Don't give yourself yet another label, yet another diagnosis. Body's trying to keep you safe. It has been for a long time. And to your wife, Paul, I'm sorry that her family didn't show up for her. Family hurt her. And she's lucky to have you, a guy that loves her so much. So we're going to have some anxiety healing and some trauma healing and some practicing some new behaviors. To your sweet wife, she's watching this. You deserve to be well, and you deserve to be loved. And you deserve to stop feeling like your body's failing you. The people in your life, they did. They failed you. They abused you. They hurt you. Screamed at you. Made it your fault. But you're good. And you're whole. And you're worth being well.